Today on Adversity Strength, I'm joined by Jackie Collier, a property investor based in West Yorkshire with a growing portfolio of rental properties and new developments underway. She also mentors for a leading property educator, helping others build their own portfolios through education and done for you services. But her journey hasn't been straightforward. Before property, Jackie faced a series of deeply challenging experiences, from partners taking advantage to being forced into circumstances that led to liquidation and the sudden loss of both her parents. Yet at the core was a powerful belief that adversity can be turned into strength. That belief became the foundation for rebuilding, learning hard lessons, regaining control, and ultimately creating success in the property world. This is a conversation about resilience, rebuilding, and what it really takes to come back stronger. Jackie, thanks for coming on the podcast today. Great to finally speak with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Take us back to the beginning. Where did your journey start with all of this? It's been quite a lot.
Well, I'm quite old, so it's quite a long journey. I think way back when, left school, went to Marks and Spencer's in head office, did all sorts of projects for them, became an auditor on their division, which was great, had lots of opportunity. Went to audit stores in America, audit stores in Canada, came back and I'd like to say took redundancy, but they then said, no, sorry, you've got to move from the north back down south, which is where I'd come from. And I'm like, well, I'm not going. So I missed out on all that redundancy, but hey, you move on, don't you? You move on. Yeah. Went from there into, I was a finance manager for Hallmark Cards, and decided I needed to do my own thing, to work for somebody who's a bookkeeper, and then ended up buying the company, like you do. It was an industrial cleaning company, and everybody's like, really? You? Are you sure about that? But there we go. And that was interesting. Yeah. And I think it taught me that you should only buy companies that you really want to do, and you really enjoy what the actual either product or services that you're providing. Because like everybody said, personally, I hate cleaning. So having a company that does it for a living, and particularly what we were doing, which was big industrial cleans of vats and British Waterways mills that were full of bird poo and God knows what else. Luckily for me, I wasn't there at the thick end of it. But equally, you have to have people that are willing to do it, and it's not a nice job. We then developed a conveyor belt cleaner. So at the time, if you know anything about the food industry, as the conveyor belts go round with all the products on and such like, at some point the line has to close where they clean down the conveyor belt. So obviously they have to stop production, which isn't commercially a great way forward.
Yeah.
So the guy had bought the company off had developed this steam conveyor belt cleaner, and it literally sat over the belt. So cleaned it as it ran, so there was no downtime. Perfect for the food industry, especially things like chocolate. So we'd gone to there's a lot of chocolate manufacturers around here. So we'd gone to chocolate manufacturers, they bought it. And Thornton's chocolate they had a slightly different way of production. So they needed something similar, but built as a standalone machine. We kind of had the prototype, which worked okay. I then took on board a design engineer who was allegedly qualified to do such things, because we were doing it on logic and testing and hope. So I got him on board. He was somebody we knew. So again, you think you can trust people.
Yeah.
And then the project didn't seem to be going quite so well. And eventually, Thorntons were like, well, where are you going with it? And we're like, we can't go any further. You need to pay some more money for us to do more, or we're at the end. And we were doing all sorts of other things as well as this, but basically, I'd like to say it was the straw that broke the camel's back, but it was probably a great big damn weight that broke the camel's back. And they were like, we're not paying any more money. So I think they bought the machine, from what I can remember, at knockdown price. We ended up having to close the company. We went into liquidation. We had to deal with the administrators, creditors, everything else. Hard, because one of the suppliers, who was a creditor, was a friend of my father-in-law. So having to say we can't pay you when, it was difficult within the family, because he felt really bad about it. Understandably, we felt bad for him. But I mean, there was just literally no way out. I'm not one for blaming other people for what happens. Things happen. If things go wrong, at some point along the line, you've got to look at yourself and say, what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently that would have mitigated that risk, that event, whatever it might be. I think back then I was kind of less calm about these things. And it seemed as if the design engineer thought it was a great idea and didn't really want to develop it for us, but thought he might develop it for himself. Because once the company folded, I then found he was going around all the people that we'd gone to and selling the idea himself, which didn't really go down too well. It caused a lot of bad feeling. I remember, because we couldn't pay the creditors, we woke up one Saturday morning to some hammering on the front door. My daughter would have been about 7 at the time, and hammering on the front door. Husband went down to open the door. 2 guys there from the fabricators who said, "You owe us a lot of money. If you don't pay us, we're going to break your knees." Nice, indeed, which was shocking in itself, followed by, "If you don't pay us, we know where your daughter goes to school."
What you guys do?
Freak. It was, it was so out of our experience. I mean, we don't live in that kind of world where people are threatening to break your legs. And what could we do? Where can we get the money? And agreed, it wasn't all the money, but they would, I think we owed them about 10,000, but they agreed 5 if we gave them cash. So we managed to, one way or another, loans and this and that, and find the money and pay them off. But I don't think until something like that happens, you realise the depths that you can go to. I'm a pretty positive, relatively joyful person. There might be people who disagree and say I'm a grumpy old bag, but generally I am quite a positive person. And I remember driving my car on the bypass, 2-lane bypass, 70 miles an hour, thinking, if I just veer this way into the oncoming traffic, or if I just veer into this wall, it's all over. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And that is so far from me. And I never said anything to my husband until years later. And he was like, "I can't believe that that's how you felt. Why didn't you talk to me? Why didn't you tell me?" But I mean, it was my company, even though he kind of was involved as a supporter, if you like. I was a bit involved in the project, but at the end of the day, it was my company. It had gone bust. I was embarrassed that we were in that position. I was embarrassed because of the circumstance with his dad and the supplier. I was embarrassed that somebody was literally threatening my family.
Yeah.
And just didn't really know how to get out of it. Luckily, I didn't drive into that wall or the oncoming traffic. And I think it was a thought of, well, what would it leave him if I did that? And people do all sorts of silly things for all sorts of reasons and don't necessarily always think about the consequence of the people left behind. And luckily, I wasn't that far in the depths that I did have that consideration that I didn't want to leave them with that problem. But it went on for months and months, and it was hard to come back from, really hard to come back from. And working for myself, having my own company is not for me. Went to work for somebody else. I realised that wasn't for me either. I don't like being told what to do. Yeah. Yeah, I like to work hard, but I like to work hard on what I want to work on in the time that I want to work. But and being told what to do doesn't go down very well. So I was a finance manager for Hallmark Cards and for different companies in between. Decided to set up on my own again. I always wanted to have a wedding company before Richard Branson beat me to it and starting up with Virgin Bride. But anyway, I'll let him off. So decided to kind of get into that with doing stationery, and I was working for printers at the time, so I'd got experience from working for Hallmark, I'd got experience from working from the stationery company. I was like considering it, and then Steve and I'd gone away for the weekend and got a phone call. My mum hadn't been, when I say unwell, she was kind of like, "Oh, I just feel a bit off colour." I remember talking to her on the Friday as we were driving to the weekend away. And I said, "Go to the doctor." And she's like, "Oh, I've got an appointment on Monday." So I said, "Good, make sure that you do." So we'd gone for the weekend away. Saturday morning, we were going around the town where we were. I got a phone call from Steve's mum, and she wouldn't speak to me. All right. Well, it's really weird. I mean, we get on really well, so it's like, that's really weird. So I think she must have phoned his phone. He didn't pick up, so she phoned my phone. She said, "Can I speak to Steve? Can I speak to Steve?" So I put him on, and I'm thinking then something's happened to his dad. Something happened to one of the dogs.
Yeah.
All sorts. And he came off the phone, and he was like, "White as a sheet." And he went, "Your mum's died?" Shocking. And out of the blue. And I say she hadn't she hadn't felt well, but certainly not that you think she's going to lose her tomorrow. So obviously we packed up, we came back to see my dad, and it literally, it was just so sudden. He'd gone downstairs to make her a cup of tea and he'd come back up and she wasn't breathing. Luckily the ambulance got there really quickly, but they just couldn't bring her out. And my dad was devastated. He didn't know what to do, but you know, he was in a state of shock, as you can imagine. Obviously we went through that, and I just decided that, do you know what, life's too short. Life is too short. And that was on the Saturday. I mean, I went to work on the Monday, and everybody's going, what are you doing here? Why? But what else was I going to do? What else was I going to do? It's like, I can't just sort of sit around and do nothing and say mope. That sounds like it diminishes it, but at least doing something took my mind off it.
Yeah.
So I would say that was in the May, and then obviously spent much more time with my dad. He wouldn't move in with us, he didn't want to move, but we saw him every week. He looked after my daughter, everything else. The following 18 months later in September, well, I always phoned my dad really late at night, and it was like, have you had a good day? Everything all right? Going to bed now. Good night. Speak to you tomorrow. Every day. And he was 83, still playing golf, really fit, really fit. And this one night I was doing a wedding fair, because I set up the wedding company now when I'd taken the decision, life's too short.
Yeah.
I was doing a wedding fair the next day, and I was phoning him and I couldn't get hold of him. He wouldn't answer the phone. He wouldn't answer his home phone. He wouldn't answer his mobile. And I'm thinking, I don't have phone numbers for his neighbours or his friends. And then you start panicking. Phone the police. I'd had a glass of wine, so I couldn't drive. Phone the police. And they went round, and probably about 1 o'clock in the morning, they came back to our house. He lived about 45 minutes away. They came back to our house, and like, it's quite difficult to find where we are because we're down a bit of a track and everything. And they phoned to say, we need to come down and see you. And you know when you just know?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, you do.
You just know.
Yeah.
And I was always, I mean, I was close to my mum, but I was always really close to my dad. So they came down and came in, and I don't think I've ever felt anything like it. It was howling. I mean, when I got the message about my mum dying, I remember standing in the middle of the town and I howled, like just let out this howl. The police came and said about my dad. I felt so bad. I just felt that guilt that he was on his own. I wasn't with him. What had happened, and they'd had to break the door down to get in, and it just found him sitting in his chair. And in hindsight now, and we're now like 20 years on, in hindsight, you think it was for the best for him because he went like that.
Yeah. How long after you meeting your mum?
8.
Yeah. It's so common, especially when they've been together years and years.
It was literally, they'd had the 50th wedding anniversary. It was a year before the 60th. So all that time, you know, and when my mum went like that, you know, all you think of all things that you could have said, should have said, would have said. I didn't expect it to happen again with my dad.
Yeah.
You know, and you think it's like somebody slapped you around the face. It just stops you in your tracks, and nothing seems important anymore. Nothing seems important. And it's like how you get over that to start living again. And like I say, now in hindsight with both of them, I can go, when I go, I want to go like that, because they both would have hated to have been ill.
Yeah.
They would have hated for it to be dragged out. I mean, Steve's dad died about 10 years ago, and probably 12 now, and it was prolonged. He had a bad accident, and it went on for months and months and months. And the contrast was, you could just see that, awful as it would have been for that accident to have killed him at the time, it probably would have been better. It would have been better for him. It would have been better for the family. It would have been better for everyone, really, because he wouldn't have wanted to be the way he was. So when my mum and dad went, at least I can think they've avoided that. You know, they never had to go through that. And yeah, you just work your way through it and work your way through it. So you think, well, okay, that's enough. I've had enough.
How did you manage to get through it? What did you do to get through such big losses in such a short space of time?
Focused on work.
Yeah.
And I focused on the family. I would have to say that I probably should have focused on the family more and less so on work. I'm a bit of a workaholic. So concentrating on stuff and doing stuff kind of stops you thinking. But it took a long, long time of, crying yourself to sleep and thinking all the things you should have done, you should have said. And then the doctor said what happened. He'd had like a massive heart attack, and he could have had that heart attack at any time. And then I think the number of times like he drove over to our house, you drove home again, he picked my daughter up from school. Had he realised, he would never have done that. He would never have put her through that danger. Never. But when you look back at it, you just think, what could have happened? And have to thank the Lord, thank the universe, whatever it is that you personally find to thank, that didn't happen. Yeah. And I think when things have happened and they've gone wrong, you have to try and focus on the positive. And sometimes it's really hard to find a positive in those situations. It can be really, really hard.
There always is one, no matter what, but finding it isn't always easy. And when you focus on the positive, when you've been through the adversity, a lot of people don't stick to it, because the positive and the results might be something that's in the future, not instantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does take time to kind of come round, and you have to go through that process. I suppose it's quite cathartic that you have to go through it.
Yes.
But you have to let yourself not fall victim of it either. And that's hard, because why me? Why us? Why has this happened?
It's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. But, at the end of the day, life is about ups and downs. And you can't have an up if you haven't got a down. You have to have the bad to appreciate the good.
Yeah.
And you have to have those dips to come back out and rise. So I think learning that was a valuable lesson. I mean, I came out of that and did another business. I became a florist, and my business partner went and ripped me off for 20 grand. You feel like I've made some really bad decisions.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, sometimes there's reasons behind it. Sometimes it's good faith. It's a bad choice. We've ignored the red flags there. The important thing is we come out with it. We learn from it so we don't repeat it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as I say, if it don't kill you, it makes you stronger.
Yeah.
So when she literally, we had 2 shops, she lived above one, she changed the locks, and she was off work for a week and just said, I'm not coming back. I've changed the locks. I'm taking my shop back. So, and for me, I'm like, okay, I'm not a florist. I wasn't a florist. I was doing all the business side of stuff. Time to learn. Nobody is holding me like that. They're not having anything over me that I can't cope with in future. So I made sure I learned how to do it, and I made sure I learned how to do it damn well. And we became one of the Interflora's biggest executors. We would do, like Mother's Day, we do something like 350 bouquets for Mother's Day alone. We'd have 7 drivers delivering. It was army manoeuvres. We were voted Wedding Florist of the Year for 4 or 5 years on the trot. I don't like to fail, and I think that drives me forward. Because if I can't do it to the best of my ability, I'm going to damn well learn how I can.
Yeah.
So, and like I say, not be reliant on other people. So it's hard when things don't go well. And it's even harder when people say to you afterwards, I could never understand why you went into partnership. She's always been like that. She's always done this. She's always done that. She used to do this. She used to do that. Well, that's great. Why tell me now? Why didn't you tell me at the time? But sometimes you just have to find out for yourself, don't you? And with all those things, hard as they are for the times that they're happening, I look back and I think, well, you learn from it. You don't do it again. It makes you stronger. It makes you more resilient. And actually, I look at my daughter and she's damn resilient, even though they weren't directly affecting her in terms of,
She's seen what you've gone through.
Exactly. And she's had some stuff that's happened that you wouldn't want to happen to a young person. And now she got over it. She just picked herself up, got on with it, did what she had to do. She runs her own company. She started her own company while she was at uni. She never went to work for anybody else. She runs that company. She does it very successfully. She's also got her own property business. So taken her life into her own hands as well, and made sure that she's in charge of what happens with her. So, I think with the floristry as well, I mean, it got to a point where husband was at risk of voluntary redundancy. It was up to him. But to be honest with you, he didn't really like his job. He hated it. As I said, I don't know if I need to look for another job within the company or I take voluntary redundancy. And I'm like, God's sake, take the money. excuse my French, but you're a miserable bastard. For God's sake, take the money and start again.
Yeah. Again.
And that was kind of how we got into property, really. The good old, we'd watched Homes Under the Hammer.
Yeah.
We went out, we bought a property, did it up and sold it. And it kind of went okay. Made a bit of money on it. Didn't do anything for a while. Then we got when he took the redundancy, we decided that's what we were going to do. Not a clue how to do it other than what we'd done before. So we thought, right, we'll buy property, do it up, sell it. Buy another property, do it up, sell it, with the aim to do probably a couple of properties a year.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is you have no income because all your money goes into the property and doing it up. Then you get some money when you sell it, but then you put it all back in again. So as fate has, it just put in front of us, here's a training course. Here's a 2-hour like taster. We went off and did that, came back, loved it. He was like, right, I've signed us up for a 3-day course. It's cost me $1,000, but I've got a free tablet out of it.
That's not.
Yeah. Want an iPad.
Those courses are good.
Yeah, absolutely. And we went and did this training course. So glad we did that.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of information on the internet. There's lots of books. You can read, you can watch YouTube, you can do all sorts of things, which are great information, but you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And until you know to ask the right question, you're not necessarily going to get the right answer. And if we hadn't done that course, there's no way we would be doing what we do now. Literally, I mean, we went on that course, 10 years ago, and I was 54, Steve was 50. Had we just done that, do a property, do another one, we'd never really have got anywhere. By learning how to do it properly, we bought 8 buy-to-lets and 2 flips in our first year. Yeah. Because we were of an age that if we didn't make it work, who the hell's going to employ us?
Yeah. Yeah, all or nothing.
Yeah, 100%. And it just proves that if you focus and you're determined, you can do anything you want, absolutely anything that you want. You know, we built £1 million portfolio in 2 years, and now we teach other people how to do it. We've done, 80 odd deals. We've got our own portfolio. We find properties for other people. We teach people how to do it. We do a lot of social housing. So it's nice to be able to give something back and be able to create warm, safe, comfortable homes for people in need. Yes, commercially, it's a good strategy, but also you know that you're giving people a safe home. So now, should I say life's good? Does that tempt fate?
No, it's not tempting fate. It's where you are now.
Yeah.
My question is, how do you feel now when you look back and see everything you've been through, whether it's personally, business related, how far you've come all that way to where you are now, what you've overcome, had to go through to get to where you are now? How do you look at that now?
I think generally, as the British public, we're all quite we don't like to blow our own trumpets, and we're very well, I've done okay and such like. One thing I've learned from teaching other people is you've got to say, actually, I'm damn good at this and I can do it, but you have to learn from everything that's gone before. You cannot fall victim to whatever befalls you, and take away from it something positive that is going to make you stronger. And that resilience, because there's always going to be something thrown at you, always something. It might not be as big or as devastating, but there will be things. And our mentor, he says, you only ever get delivered the problems that you can deal with. And the more you can deal with them, the harder the problems become, because the better equipped you are to deal with them. And I think that's right, because now nothing goes smoothly. Yeah, I'm happy with what we do. And yeah, I think we do it well. We still have issues. We still have problems. There's still things that go wrong. But it's knowing how to overcome the things that go wrong.
Yes.
And how to deal with it. And I think one of the big things that really, really helped when we started in property, everybody talked about you have to visualize, you have to do affirmation, you have to do this belief. And I remember thinking, it's all a bit tree hugging for me. Not really into all that. And it took me a while to understand what people meant by manifestation. And it's not woo-woo and something crazy. When you look at successful people in this world,
they've all got a goal. They all know how to get there, and now they have the visualization for it.
Yeah, and they're grateful.
Yeah, they got the gratitude, law of attraction.
%. And that for me was a game changer. And I just had to find the right book, I suppose, that I connected with, where I understand what you mean by the law of attraction now. Because some of them, I'm not very good in the morning. I am absolutely so not a morning person. So all these 5 a.m. clubs and everything, it's so not me. So things like the miracle morning, no chance, no chance. But when I found there's a book called The Secret and The Magic.
Yeah, it's very good. I read it.
Yeah, The Magic for me was a game changer.
Yeah, I read that. Very good books. She's Australian.
Rhonda Byrne.
Yeah, they're very good. And there's an old documentary that she did that's on Amazon somewhere. There's called The Secret, and it's got entrepreneurs on it. Very good.
Yeah. And it's that mindset thing. I don't think I appreciated when I was younger how important mindset is.
It's everything.
100%. 100%. Having that mindset, you know, the Ford, you think you can, you think you can't, you're going to be right.
I think the one that goes with me is the people that say they'll succeed and the people that say they'll fail are usually both right.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to focus. Was it energy flows where focus goes, or whichever way around it is? Just those things. But the magic for me, doing it, something every day, and then building on it and having that gratitude and, you know, thanking the universe, however daft it sounds. And I say to mentees now,
it works. It's just about being consistent with it. You put out there, you get back what you put out there.
Yeah.
You send out the negative vibes, you do get them back.
Yeah.
Out the positive ones, you do get them back. So how it works, I don't know, but it certainly seems to work.
Yeah, it's that energy, isn't it? It's that positive energy attracts more positive energy. And literally this year, so many things that have happened that are, I can't believe this is happening. I would love to be able to expand on that a bit more, but it's just at that stage where I can't say what it is. But as they say, watch this space. I will share when the time comes. But you know, one of the things that, because we used to both play badminton for county badminton, so not the level of, you know, football as EFL or Premier League, whatever, but having that sports mindset, it made us want to help sports people get into doing property to protect them from when they retire, because so many look like they're going bankrupt, they're getting bad advice, all that sort of thing.
There's a high percentage that actually do. They actually do very quickly after football.
Yeah, I think something like 50% within 5 years.
And they're living a lifestyle that they're not earning the money for now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And it can lead them to making bad choices, end up in prison, really struggling there, and depression, and there's been like, you know, suicides and attempted to take their own life, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, you look at that and really you think where they've come from, that should never, ever be happening. But it's because so much is done for them that they don't necessarily have to think about doing it themselves. And because so much is done for them, maybe they don't question some of the advice they get. It's to be able to help them with, at least with property investment, to build something that's going to give them some level of income. It's going to give them some capital growth over the years. They've got something to rely on, or even teach them how to do it themselves, whatever it may be, but that they don't have to go down that route that is not a good direction to go. So
and so you've been doing this for like 10 years, the properties now, growing and growing, and you've given talks there as well. What's the future looking like for you? What are you hoping to do in the future? Because you seem to expand.
We continue to build our own portfolio, because for us that's the future, that's our pension, etc. And then for our daughters carry on running the business. So, and like I said, it's nice to give people good homes. There are a lot, you know, landlords get really bad rap. They get it from the press, they get it from the media, they get it from TV, you know, EastEnders or whatever. I mean, I don't watch it, but they're always like slagging off the landlord. And actually, most landlords do want their tenants to be happy and care for them and live in a safe home.
And also for the landlord's point of view, if they've got a good, reliable tenants that they look after, they're more likely to stay a lot longer.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and because we do a lot of social housing, again, it's nice to, it's one of my big bugbears that there isn't enough social housing. There aren't enough decent quality homes, and you end up with families that are in temporary accommodation, bed sits, hotel rooms, and it diabolical. There's something like 170,000 children in temporary accommodation. I mean, that's shocking in a first world country. And when you look at the financial side of it, the commerciality of it, the councils will pay something, depending on where you are, but like around, they'll pay £100 a night for a family to be in one bedroom. Or they could work with people like us and they'll be paying something like £700 a month rent as opposed to £3,000 a month equivalent. And the thing is, it's not just that cost saving there. When you've got families all in, whole generations in one room, the knock-on cost to the government, the country, the economy is you're going to have physical issues down the line. So you've got a cost to the NHS. You're going to have mental issues down the line. So you're going to have a cost to the NHS. You're potentially going to have children that are going to go off the rails because they're not in a true, proper family environment to grow up.
It's everything.
Yeah.
As a therapist, the one of the most important things for a child to have is to have stability and consistency, and having a permanent fixed home is one of the most important things.
Yeah. And that's it. And if councils could look beyond the immediate, we've just got to get a roof over their head, and think about how they can work with, I hate to say property development because we're not building great, we are converting houses that are in need of repair to make them nice quality homes. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of empty homes across the UK that could be done up, refurbished as good quality homes for these people. But trying to get past the red tape of councils, I mean, where we are, I say, if you come across an empty home, tell me, we'll buy it, we'll do it up, and we'll house people in need. Oh no, we can't do that. Why can't you do that? We can't be seen to give you preferential treatment.
But that's not preferential treatment. That's telling you where there's a property that's available. It's not like you can get it at a cut price. You get it for whatever you get it for. You then refurb it off your own cost. They're not paying for it. There's no preferential treatment. In fact, it actually helps them out. And if you didn't rent out through the council, you could rent it out privately. So you're helping them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to buy it and rent it out regardless.
Yeah. Exactly. So they will do some compulsory purchase on empty properties that have been empty for a long time. But again, rather than putting them to somebody like us, they'll put them into an open auction. And because we're in the north, property is relatively cheap, compare it to prices in London. People in London will look and go, my God, I can buy a house for 60, 70 grand. They'll buy it. They're so far away to try and do the refurb, then they don't do the refurb, and the house just sits there again for however long.
Yeah.
Where's the logic? I mean, it just baffles me that you get, I mean, and I don't want to get political, but you get certain parties that saying people shouldn't be able to own more than one house. There should be no such things as landlords and private rent. Get real. If there wasn't, that housing problem would be astronomical. It's bad now because of all the things that are happening with renters reform and taxation on personal landlords, all of that. Landlords are selling up faster than ever before.
Yeah.
Where are you going to put people? Because the councils can't. They're all blinking bankrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't join the dots. It's just so frustrating. So frustrating.
You can only do what you can do, but what you're doing is great.
Thank you.
And you're helping people out and doing, and you're expanding there. There might be limitations, but you're helping more people than a lot of other people out there.
And we love doing it. And hopefully teaching other people to do it as well is able to scale it quicker because it's more than what we can just manage to do. It's finding properties for other people and teaching people to do it themselves means that you can do that more for more people and help more people. The goal is to do that.
Keep growing. And if you've got more people that you've been able to teach and help and they follow the same format as you, suddenly there's a lot more people that are going to hopefully help other people out and get them housed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You've got to have a win-win. You've got to have a win-win. So, and if we can do it for the players, etc., instead of them going bankrupt, they fill that gap too.
Yeah. I think what you're doing is great. I wish you all the best with that. Going from where you started off and all the things you've overcome and the strength you have to keep on going and build your business there. And now you're getting all the rewards there. The law of attraction certainly helping. And you got to a point where lots of things are going right for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's great. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, Jackie. I'd love having you on the podcast.
Thank you. I really appreciate the invite.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.